What's up, listeners? So this is the team here at the Politricks Podcast, and we just wanted to take one moment to come back and regroup. We wanted to let you know that this last episode was quite heated. There were a lot of passionate subjects, and we are some passionate individuals. However, we never want you to get confused and do not think that we don't respect each other, because we do. Yeah. We took a moment to reconvene and get together, and I have my co-host here who will also want to chime in a little bit.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Nora. So like Nora said, this was one of those episodes where, we get a little bit passionate, and that's what this whole show is about. It's about talking about different things, and sometimes it gets a little bit too spicy, and we have to kind of take a break and say, all right, you get your point across, but we still, at the end of the day, it's about, talking. That's all it is. It's a podcast. These are our views, our personal views. And, sometimes it's going to be a little bit, it might get a little bit passionate, but we do respect each other. We have no beef with one another. These are my co-hosts. These are the people that, you guys listen to every day, every week. And, this is what we do. So apologies to Nola for,
yes.
If you might have felt like we were a little bit too, if it got a little bit too aggressive. That's not usually how it is. We'll welcome you back. If you ever want to come back, we appreciate what you do. And thank you for all the great point of view that you expressed on the show.
Yeah, the main reason we're doing this show is to show that we're here to bring people together. And sometimes when we bring people together, especially when it comes to politics, it gets a little heated. Mm-hmm. Our last episode kind of turned out that way. And I first want to say I apologize to Nola for the way I reacted. You were a guest on our show, and even if I got a little heated with the topics, I could have sat back a little bit more and kind of let people just talk and just let it go. But, it got a little, went a little overboard. So just want to put my apologies out there and remind the listeners that, this is, what I want to do. The reason I'm doing this show in the first place is because Kerstyn came to me in regards to her idea with the show. And I thought it was a great idea because even though I was doing a conservative channel at the time, I'm always about opening the floor up for debate. And that's what this show is all about, because we need to hear both sides of the table and see where both sides are coming from so we can get the entire picture. So I apologize to any listeners out there that might have been offended by the last episode, but future reference, we're taking this by the horns, and we're moving forward in a positive manner. So.
And we're learning as we go, and we're learning together as a team, and that will be what you can expect from every episode in the future. And we're so grateful that we have listeners that are interested and willing to take a moment out of their busy schedules and sit with us and kind of learn a little bit. So we hope that you all will tune in to the next episode, and that if nothing else, you saw all the different perspectives and you will entertained. So peace to you guys, and see you next time.
Ladies and gentlemen, back from Washington, D.C. Ladies and gentlemen, I think they got something they want to say. Ladies and gentlemen, I think they got something they want to say. Washington, D.C. I think they got something they want to say.
Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Kerstyn, the level-headed liberal.
I'm Nora Yaya, your liberal lobbyist.
Hello, everybody's favorite conservative in New York, Christopher Wright.
And we are the Politricks Podcast. Thank you guys for listening to us. Today we're on episode 31.
Woohoo!
31.
So much to politically unpack today. Happy New Year to all of you.
Happy New Year.
Yes. And we have basically 10 months until this presidential election, so a lot to get into. We got to start, we got to get our hands
Get
dirty.
her done. Right.
Thanks everyone for listening and sharing the podcast and leaving comments. Please continue to share with friends and family. Follow us on Politricks Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, Politricks Pod. Find us on YouTube. If you're listening to us or watching us on YouTube, because we're on video format. This is exciting for us. Hit subscribe, leave a comment, and let us know if you're feeling us. Be nice. But we are also, and if you can't listen to us on YouTube, you can listen to us on all platforms, including Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeart, Anchor. So take your pick, listen, watch us, enjoy.
Subscribe.
If this is your first time, start from the beginning, episode 1. You'll see the difference in the podcast. We only get crazier. And videos will also drop on Fridays, and the audios will be on Wednesdays. So today we've got a guest. I'm sure you can see this person on the screen. Nola.
Hi.
What's up, Nola?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, Nola. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I am a fourth-year PhD student in political science and international relations at USC, and I am also the executive producer and host of my own talk show, Nola Haynes TV, on YouTube.
Okay.
Awesome.
That's what's up.
That's so cool. And you called on the phone when you spoke to me. You said you're a proud Democrat.
I did say that. Yes.
Okay. So that's how you align yourself. We got to go straight into it. I want them to know how you
where you stand.
Yeah, how you stand politically. So how was everybody's week? How's everything?
It's good. It's good. It's busy. Lobbying's picking up in New York State, so it is a busy time for me. Yeah.
Oh, sweet. How about you, Chris?
I just did a televised debate on Bold TV. And it was fun. It was in regards to should we lower taxes in New York City, and I did my thing on there. So look out for that coming out soon.
All right, I'll check it out. How about you, Nola? How was your week?
So far, so good. Very productive. Work doesn't start back until next week, so it's just I'm dissertating, so just a lot of writing, and also preparing to release our latest season of NHTV, and then also getting ready for our big politics season coming up. So a lot of work.
Same here. So we've got a lot to talk about today. So I apologize for these topics for being so long. I know you guys are like,
I read them. I was like, we going over all this.
I know. We're going to try to get into as many as possible. It's just that there's just so much happening.
A lot has happened politically for sure.
So we
started the year with the bang, literally. So
January 2nd. Yes, we started definitely with a bang. So
raging 20s we're in right now.
We are,
raging 20s.
So let's get into it.
Big bang.
Right. Are you guys ready to politic?
Yes, let's do it.
All right.
Yes.
So, okay, let's do it. All right. I love your energy. Okay. President Trump pardons the Navy SEAL Edward Gallagher. Trump views his power to pardon people convicted of crimes. Gallagher was demoted after being convicted of posing for a photo inside a dead ISIS militant. Posing with a dead ISIS militant. Mm-hmm. Trump ordered his rank to be restored. What do you guys think? Was Trump wrong for doing that? Should he have gotten involved, even though his own military, his combat soldiers were, I guess they said that he was doing these things. He was really he was not a great guy.
He's a violent dude.
Yeah. He's had PTSD he was suffering from.
He had PTSD. Okay. But do you think
he has PTSD and a long history of doing a lot of other things too? I mean,
agreed.
Obama pardoned criminals that didn't have PTSD at all, weren't even veterans, but
Right. But let's specifically talk about this particular person, this Navy SEAL. Do you think that Trump should have gotten involved?
It's not his wheelhouse. It's not his business. He should mind his business.
Well, presidents have done this in the past, and he's president now, so he made a choice.
You agree with it?
I'm not saying necessarily agree with it, but I met guys who had PTSD who showed me photos of different people over in the Middle East that they killed. They took pictures over their bodies. So this is not a first time. It's not the first time it's ever happened in American history. It's happened, I'm sure, in wars all the way dating back to the Revolutionary War. So, yeah,
Yeah, there was, it is a cultural issue that we have. I mean, it's kind of like all is fair in war. And during this war, there have been photos of men urinating on dead bodies. There have been photos of people raping women, as well as cutting off the fingers of young boys who, may have been involved. So I think this just speaks to the culture of everything that's been going on in this war. I don't think that he was charged. He was demoted. So it felt a little egregious, but we don't know what their relationship is like. And it's obviously symbolic, showing that Trump supports everyone and anyone out there. And, that's really
not everyone.
Anybody that doesn't
all the soldiers.
I see it a little bit differently. Like, I think that people around Trump have immersed themselves in diversionary tactic literature. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, this is truly right out of the playbook. It's something called rally around the flag. And Trump understands this. He's not going to win on substance. He's going to win on emotion. So what do? You take this guy who you want to brand as the ultimate patriot, right? Because that's pretty much what it is. Like, he's taken this guy and cast him in this role as the ultimate patriot who is protecting American rights, right? It has nothing to do with if he was wrong or right. It has more to do with, I am going to seem like I'm protecting American soldiers at all costs, even if it challenges all the different branches of government, if it challenges decision makers who are in those positions for a reason, right? So again, like this is all strategy. This is all a tactic. This is something called rallying around a flag, no more, no less.
So when previous presidents did the same thing with just criminals, what was that, rallying around crime?
What do you specifically mean by rallying around criminals? Like, what presidents
Obama
are rallying?
Especially towards the end of his second term, he released a lot of criminals from jail.
Yeah,
so I'm saying, so what we call that? Is that rallying around crime? Because people always want to say, "Oh, you're trying to escape the question."
Tactic that you're using.
Yeah, it's not a tactic. It's not a tactic, though. It's American history I'm speaking about here. So I love how Democrats love to point at Trump for every little thing he does, but then they forget.
But the question was about Trump.
Well,
I didn't bring up Obama. You did.
But you brought up pardoning, like he's pardoning around the flag. And I said, well, what do you call it when Democrats do the same thing, but worse?
I didn't say pardoning. I said rallying
around the flag, running around the flag, dancing around the flag. What do you call it?
But you're twisting up what I'm saying.
But what do you? But okay. Well,
Chris,
what do you?
Let's let her explain what she means. So, can you re-explain what you're talking about? So. For the listeners.
Right, no problem. So just to be clear, I did not mention the word pardon at all.
She didn't mention the word pardon, everybody. I'll make that clear as well.
I said rallying around the flag. Okay. It is a tactic in something called diversionary tactics. It is a pretty well-known way to engage your base, right? So it's all about how a populace controls and maintains power, right? And the way that you do that is you give your base things that they want. You rally, and one of the things that Trump base really wants is patriotism, right? Like this really, really hardcore commitment to patriotism. And as a daughter of two vets, I completely and utterly get it, which is one of the reasons why I'm drawn to national security, because my parents literally put their lives on the line for this country.
The country.
Exactly. So, I'm definitely not here to speak against the military in any way whatsoever. Actually, what I am saying is that I think that when it comes to issues around the military, I think that transparency is important. But in something like this, I think this is a tactic. I don't think that it's a real thing is what I'm saying. Okay. And what rallying around the flag means is basically to get an emotional response out of something that looks like patriotism.
Right. Even though it's wrong. Even though because it's wrong in the sense that even the commander, I guess he also was like, I quit. I can't do this. Like, you're going against my orders. We told you this guy's horrible. Then even, I guess the troops in his own, I guess, battalion, is that what they call him? Were saying that he is excessive with his violence. He's always, he's killing people. He's killing kids. Yeah. Like he is.
I saw the interview.
So he might have, to Chris's point, he might have PTSD. I don't doubt that. He might have worse than PTSD. He might be a psycho. But, I do think that what he was doing is, like you said, I think Trump was just using this to say, hey guys, look at me. This guy is a patriot and I'm going to stand up for him. If, I don't care that his whole, the admirals thinks he should go to jail or his battalion doesn't agree with him. He's right by me. He's fighting for this country, so I'm going to stand by him. So I do agree with that, and I think that it was wrong. I don't think President Trump should have gotten involved.
Well, that's your choice. I said I know other troops that suffer PTSD who did similar things. Show me photos of them do similar things, and I think we should look at PTSD deeper and see how we can help these soldiers out mentally before we go.
My father has PTSD, and let me tell you, I think I would look at him side-eyed if I saw pictures of him doing horrible things to captured prisoners. So my point is, while PTSD is critical to the equation, I don't think we should necessarily use it as a kind of bulwark to explain away this really horrific behavior.
I totally agree. And I think that previous presidents who let off criminals in the past for no real reason should be looked at as well. The same topic, and same category as Trump. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so we'll go into the next topic. That was actually good. All right, Congress increases military spending. Okay, so this is the big topic of 2020, the year we have to get into. All right. Congress increases the military spending in December 2019. On January 2nd, Trump orders airstrike killing Major General Qasem Soleimani, Iran's top security intelligence commander, at Baghdad International Airport. Now, the Pentagon issues a statement verifying an Iranian attack on U.S. forces on January 7th. Iran launches, obviously there's going to be some counterattack. Iran launches more than a dozen ballistic missiles against U.S. military and coalition forces in Iraq. However, according to American and allied officials on Thursday, they said that missiles fired by Iranian military forces were responsible for a downing of Ukrainian jetliner, which this morning we found out that they actually the president of Iran admits that he did unintentionally kill 176 passengers, which 63 were Canadians. There's a lot of, bullet points that I want to get into, but I want to get you guys' take on this whole crisis that we just went through, and if this was strategic, could have been averted. Like, what are your guys' takes on this?
I think it was a well-done strategy. I mean, he took out a Iran terrorist, pretty much.
Iran.
Whatever you pronounce it. We took him out, and the guy responsible for 600 plus military, American military's death. He's also responsible for 1,500 American amputees, 100,000 traumatic brain injuries, and countless amount of PTSD. So the president attacked this guy in a way where none of our troops got hurt or killed in the attack. He attacked our U.S. embassies prior. He's the one who set up the attack on our U.S. embassy in Iraq. He was behind that. He's been behind other attacks as well. So I think Trump attacking him in a way where it was very strategic, not like a drone strike like Obama. It was well done,
But Chris is your name, right? Why now do you think so? Christopher, why now? What's the urgency? Soleimani's always been a bad guy. Why now?
Because he attacked the U.S. embassy in Iraq about a week ago. We didn't want another 13 hours. He took care of him in 13 minutes. So thank you for that. We don't need another Benghazi on our hands.
I just find it all to be incredibly. The timing seems to be quite interesting. International law is part of what I look at and what I study. And sovereignty is a really big deal. And this is kind of a murky issue because of our very contentious relationship with Iran since the late 70s, and the fact that Iran has been on the blacklist since the 80s and in very different forms.
As they should.
So again, my question is, there's nothing new about Iran, right? There's nothing new there. Why now?
Because the attack on the embassy.
And I heard.
Well, what about the submarines that they also they attacked, or not attacked, but they were kind of targeting our submarines of oil that were in their region. See, my thing is this: I say that if you don't want to be bothered by Iran, get out of the region. Get out of the region completely. Why are we in their why are we in their space? We also we also had a drone. No, obviously, but we also had a drone go over their their space too. Like, we've been antagonizing them too. I feel like as a rule of thumb, if you don't want to be get out of there. Don't be in their space.
And I say to them, if you don't want beef, don't start beef.
Well, why are you here?
But
why are you in our space?
Why are you attacking our embassies?
You're in our country.
But
And look what you're doing in our country.
Can we back up to the the Iran nuclear deal that was actually working?
We can. Right. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about that. $150 billion.
Let's talk about it. That we
gave them.
But you need to be very specific, because you're making it seem like we just gave them money. That's not all of the facts.
No, but they bought the weapons with that money.
I don't deal with talking points. I deal with facts. facts and evidence.
And did they not buy weapons with that money?
So let's talk.
The missile they shot that plane down was from Russia. They said that, and like Trump said in his speech, that was bought with Obama's money.
Trump is good. Trump is running to win an election. So
can we start with the deal that was working, that was signed in 2015,
ahead,
which is also a fact?
Get it? 2015. Explain. First of all, let's talk about the fact that that policy, that treaty it wasn't just like with Iran and America. It was China was involved. It's a global, like everybody was in this. You know what I mean? It was Italy. Like every country was basically signed on this
big mistake.
Well, I mean, if every country believes that they need to keep themselves safe from Iran. I mean, you can't.
They're not America for a reason.
Go ahead, Nola.
Well, I think it was great policy, first of all, because it was, like you said, to build a coalition like that is not easy to do, especially when you have a very contentious state like Iran, right? Now, what's interesting, even in 2016, when Trump got in, Iran was still adhering to the nuclear deal. They really wanted good faith. They were being good faith actors in a very dangerous situation, right? Now, the talking points in which isn't substance, really, that Trump has delivered around the Iran nuclear deal, at the end of the day, anything about Barack Obama, that man is going to undo. Period.
Thank God.
Period. I don't care what it is. And you can say the things that you're saying, but I take this very, very seriously.
So do I.
I take international security very seriously.
So
I take national security very seriously. And that deal that had coalition support was very important, not just for this country. And where we are right now is on a very dangerous precipice. And Trump can deliver talking points all he wants to every single day. But I'm looking at Iran watchers. I'm looking at international legal experts.
Did you see their citizens chanting Danto's death to America after they signed that deal? Did you listen to that?
They were talking
about
that.
Was real talk. That's video footage. Exactly. So why do we give them $150 billion for the chance?
Time out. He also said he was very clear, and he came out and said, please be clear. We are not chanting death to Americans. We are chanting death to American leadership, meaning President Trump and his administration.
No, that was Obama. Obama at the time.
They just started chanting it again.
I know. So regardless of what we do, they're going to chant it. So why are we giving them money regardless? If they're going to chant it regardless, how about we don't give them money and let them chant it?
It's not new. That's the point.
Exactly. It needs to stop.
You have to understand our contentious relationship with them since the 70s.
Yeah, pre-70s, women were allowed to drive cars there as well.
In place,
and wear clothes.
To have something in place to keep people safe from nuclear threat. That's very important.
Okay, so it's safe for gays get thrown off roofs and get lynched. Is that safe?
To be in your feelings.
That's safe.
But we're talking about
we're talking about since 1979, and what changed over 1979 was Islamic Revolution taking over the country. Before that, women were allowed to drive cars. Women were allowed to dress in regular clothes.
Well,
gays were not getting lynched.
None of those things are the issue.
Well,
did Trump
brought it up.
On Iran's sovereignty by killing Soleimani?
But let's also.
Yeah, he didn't resolve any of that by killing.
But you also talking about the 70s. You know that America also was a part of overthrowing their Shah and then now having the Ayatollah come in. So like America has had a problem with getting involved in governments, in other countries' governments, and then it blows up, and now they have this Islam. Now their people were like, oh, let's get these Islamic terrorists into power because they can at least fight off
and protect the
Americans.
Right.
So you have to understand we can't get in. We have to. What we have to do is just.
It's geopolitics.
I understand. But you also are against that. You are against us getting involved in other country. You want us to focus on our country, don't you? You don't want us to be involved in other people's overthrow regions and change their governors, their government.
But you still got to focus on other countries because you can't pull out too early because we'll have another Benghazi on our hands if we try to pull out too early. It sounds nice. Let's pull the troops out everywhere and just bring them back home. It's all
this is not pulling out troops, though.
Happy parade and all that. But in reality, the reason why we're in the country is because
Trump said that's what he was going to do, and he sent 3,500 more people. And I can guarantee you more troops will be in the Middle East. Absolutely.
And under Obama, there was how many strikes in Iraq that happened?
We're talking about Trump. But we're talking about Trump.
But this is history, though. And Trump has done more when it comes to that region than the previous president.
You can't cherry pick history. You cannot cherry pick history.
But you can't cherry pick history. It's a fact.
Bringing up Obama and him and his airstrikes, we are at war with Iraq.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, you have to keep, you can't take it out of context.
So you drone strike a wedding and kill kids and women and children? Because that's
come on.
war?
Wait,
War is drone striking a wedding. That's war.
This is
Well,
a
Bush,
What kind of war are you guys fighting?
Bush put us in.
It's called
Well, how about we do this? Let's start there.
Let's
Bush
start
put us in.
about, let's talk about Bush, who I don't vote for, who I didn't vote for, who I don't support.
It's not about what you support. It's about what the facts, right? You talk about facts. Bush killed 200,000 Americans. American troops died in this war, this 19-year war that is never ending, that he put us here. The reason why Barack Obama had to continue to fight is because he's at war. He's a president that he took on after 8 years,
Inherited the
and
war.
he
Right.
inherited
And
this
the
silly
Democrats
war.
had his back all the way through it back in the day.
But here's-
Hillary Clinton definitely
But here's
did.
my thing, Christopher. So, and this is why I've been quiet, because I know we have 3 liberals.
Yeah.
against one,
I don't
so
want
I've been trying to lean back.
I'm sorry.
Lean back.
I meant. I'm
No,
supposed-
it's fine. I took
all
it
good.
wrong. I took it wrong.
Ain't no snowflake around. I'm no snowflake around here, right?
Wait.
No snowflakes
Hold
here.
on.
We're not
I just
saying
want to
war.
be clear that if we're asking you a question about the current president, we don't have to reflect to Obama to discuss the current president. That is a tactic to deflect.
No, I just love how Democrats have short-term memory loss.
No,
That's
it's
all I'm
not
saying.
We
about
absolutely
that. It's
don't.
not
And you
about
know
that.
we-
I am
say
asking
right or wrong. You know, we can always tell you whenever when we agree with you with
We
something,
agree
we
with
always
you.
agree. Like, we never don't do that. You know that we take
I'm just saying
the
that. So
policies
why
as
aren't
they
you
are. The
agreeing
facts.
when it comes to what I said about Obama?
No, because listen, because we were talking about how Trump promised us that he was going to bring more troops home, right? And now we are sending troops there, and we're only going to continue to do that. That is just fact. We don't have to look at Obama and what he did, whether it was right or wrong. We're talking about our current sitting president. So why are we in this situation now? Why are we sending more of our American troops, our soldiers, over there to be killed, potentially?
To protect the guys,
Well, the
they
drumbeat
just blown out a
for
plant in the
war,
sky in Ukraine.
the drumbeat for war, you're a lobbyist. The drumbeat for war in D.C. amongst quite a few factions, it's pretty loud.
It is.
You know,
And it's because of the
I
GOP.
forget-
And that's essentially
And
why we are in the
establishment
situation
Democrats
that
as
we're
well.
in, is because the GOP needed this war and he needs to get reelected. And this is why we're in this situation. We did not have to kill. We know he's a bad guy. I hate this conversation. We know he's a bad guy. You can tell me about everything that he did. We've known this for how long? Why now? Why did we
If Hillary
need to
Clinton
kill
was
him
in
now?
office, we'd be in war with Iran
don't
right
know
now.
that. We don't know
Yes,
that
we
to be-
see. I got the video
we don't
footage
know
right
that to
here.
be
I got the
fact.
video footage right here if you want to listen to it.
But
Of
who
her saying,
cares
if I get president, I'm going to war with Iran.
Who cares?
Video footage
Who
right
cares?
here,
No,
folks.
no.
Facts.
It's not facts. If she,
But that has
If she
nothing-
said it, that's facts. If she said it, that's facts.
That is-
Who cares?
Who cares? Of course you don't care because it's not
She's not president.
because it's not about your narrative.
But
So
she's
who
not
cares when it's not the
president.
narrative?
But Christopher,
If it's not the narrative, who cares?
Christopher,
This is not
This is real talk, though.
But she's
And
not.
she also said she's going to attack Russia as well. So that
But
means
why are
World
we
War III
talking
will
about
be in right now with
Hillary?
president.
This is
So
difficult.
Trump
This
did
is
what he had to do without causing a war.
this is
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do not to start a
conversation
war.
about facts.
What
Hold on,
Trump
Nola.
did
Hold on,
was
Nola.
he did what he had to do not to start a war. Because if he didn't do what he did, we could have another Benghazi on our hands, which could have started another war. So that's what Trump did what he had to do. Sometimes you got to do things like this to prevent war. Period.
So can you make that point without talking about Hillary?
I just made the point.
Okay.
I didn't say Hillary's
let's
name there.
continue to do that.
I said my point without saying Hillary's name. So there's my point.
You just spoke. Oh my gosh.
I just said my point without saying Hillary's name.
He won't. For him, and you know what's funny about it is that he voted for these. He voted for Obama. Like, all this stuff is like, it's this new thing of like, how do you? It's almost like.
And I
just
say I was
interesting that
naive. I was 20 years old when I voted for Obama. I was young. I was naive. I didn't know better. I'm a grown man now. I know a lot better.
I would just like us to stay centered and focused on the current conversation that we're having about the president. We don't need to talk about Hillary. I don't care about Hillary, okay? Like, we don't need to deflect and go through that. We don't have to.
Okay.
Because we're talking about what's currently going on. And we're talking
we go to
about
the
the
next topic?
potential next president who will continue to get another term.
Well, I made my point. We can go to the next topic now.
All right.
Lord, help me, Lord.
All right.
Lord. Okay.
All right, this is
Trump
a
2020.
local. This is a local topic. So I know you're out, Nola. You're out in in California, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with what's going on here. So New York's Jewish community has had quite a spat of anti-Semitic attacks. The most recent attack occurred inside a Hasidic rabbi's home in NYC suburb, when a man wielding a machete stabbed at least 5 people who had gathered for Hanukkah celebrations. The suspect in the attack, Grafton E. Thomas, has been charged by the state prosecutors with 6 counts of attempted murder. Federal prosecutors have also filed hate crimes against him. Mr. Thomas's family has said that he suffers from mental illness and is not an anti-Semite. But federal prosecutors have said that Mr. Thomas kept journals expressing anti-Semitic views and repeatedly searched online for topics like, why did Hitler hate Jews? The stabbing was the latest in a series of anti-Semitic hate crimes in December, including a mass shooting in a kosher supermarket in Jersey City and a series of attacks against ultra-Orthodox people in Brooklyn, New York during Hanukkah. The number of hate crimes reportedly have risen in New York City about 20% compared to 2018. According to police, Governor Cuomo said that New York will increase funding for security for religious institutions and will also increase the presence of state police force for hate crimes. What do you guys think is fueling these crimes?
The mainstream media, mainly. It's been a lot of that going on the leftist media here in New York City. They've been doing anti-Semitic, different articles they've been posting that kind of get people heated up and ready to do these kind of attacks. And
like
now
what?
I haven't seen it.
Like what? I haven't seen a thing.
Oh,
What?
you need to look at some local news going on
No,
right now
this is your
because
point,
they're talking
so-
about Zionist takeover and all this stuff like that.
Really?
Oh, definitely.
Mainstream media? Which outlet?
Mainstream media.
Which
CNN,
outlet? Which
MSNBC, all of them, ABC, CBS. See, look at all of them, baby.
But those are local. You're talking about local.
I'm talking about this mainstream media news, period, has been putting this Zionist, anti-Zionist Jewish thing going on right now. That's why you have all these black Hebrew Israelites in Jersey shooting up different areas with Jewish people at. And you had these attacks going on locally here where they're getting knocked out, they're getting jumped, they're getting beat up.
That's so
It's been going on
disappointing.
for the past 2 years, and nobody's talking about it because it doesn't fit the leftist narrative.
What a disappointing argument.
Wow.
First of all,
So, can I just
you
say-
usually
can
would
I-
be that if that's your
Yeah, you're usually better than
you're a little
that.
better
You're
What are
than
you
smarter
talking
than
about?
that.
It's
First
true.
of all,
It's-
smarter than
Has
that.
there not been blacks attacking Jewish people in New York
You're
City? Have
smarter
you guys
than
from
that,
New York?
Christopher.
Have you guys not seen the news?
I expect more from you.
promise
That's
you,
disappointing.
I've
Nola,
never
what were you
seen
going
it.
to say?
Well, we're just talking about topics right now where they're attacking people. So, do you
Right.
think this coming out of the
But I
sky?
think it's just no. I think it's just
Usually,
violence.
let
It's
me
just
know when I
random
get
Let the
violence.
in.
guests. Let the guests.
It's random
guys.
violence.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So some of the work that I am indexed to at USC is around counterterrorism and domestic terrorism, since it is definitely on the rise. And usually, and I don't know the specific case of how this black man got so activated and militarized, but usually it is these sorts of things happen because you're seeking very specific things, like on the internet or things that you watch, things that you listen to. You're usually in a specific silo looking for very specific things, which is why it's very important to talk about the things that he was looking at on his laptop. It wasn't so much of, from what I understand, that I don't think he was looking at mainstream media. He wasn't looking at CNN to give him information about anti-Jewish anything. You know, it was these very kind of siloed sort of searches, right? And there are a lot of people out there very angry about their situations, about a lot of different things. I was in Boston during the Boston bombings, and I was heavily impacted,
Wow.
so much to the point where I completely reversed. I was at Harvard Divinity School, started studying religion, working in interfaith communities. And I was so triggered by what happened during the Boston bombings because I was spit on at a bus stop because my hair was wrapped and I had a big Arabic textbook. And I guess somebody thought that I was Muslim. So this white man spit on me at the bus stop. I was like, okay, that's interesting. If that happens to me, I can't even imagine what it happens to people that are visibly Muslim, whatever that may look like, right? So I say all that to say that this is a very personal issue with me, and the information that I've been able to gather over my years of studying terrorism is that people are usually not militarized in this way through mainstream outlets. That's actually the opposite of the truth.
Well, I got the New York,
I don't know
I got a
this
New York
man's.
Times article right
I don't
here.
know. I
Chris,
don't know
give it,
this
let her finish,
man.
then you go.
I don't know his situation. But I'm saying usually and typically, you look for organizations that speak to you. You look for people in organizations saying, "You're an outsider. I'm an outsider too. Let's do something about it." And these are the people to blame, right?
Yes, like the black Hebrew Israelites.
Okay, so go ahead.
And so here's the New York Times article. We apologize for the anti-Semitic cartoon we published. Here's our statement. They made a statement on Twitter. We are deeply sorry for the publication of anti-Semitic political cartoon last Thursday in a print edition of the New York Times
When was that?
circulates outside the United States. April 28th, 8th, 2019. I can do the research.
Got it.
So to making sure nothing like this happens again, such imagery is always dangerous, blah, blah, blah. We get the rest of it. So in other words, they are backing away from what they posted to the public, which is, again, New York Times.
Well, see, you're making several arguments.
It's not making several arguments. I'm making a statement that they've been posting things in these news articles, and then they try to take back their statement.
Hold on.
Is my time to talk, or are we letting everybody talk for another 30 minutes?
Go ahead. We're gonna.
This is really, really dangerous.
I'm done
That's
with
not
this.
a fact.
That is a fact. The fact's right here, lady.
No, you're
New York Times, April 28th, 2019.
Hold on. This particular article triggered that man to go
There's
kill these
plenty of
people.
other articles,
That's
is what I'm saying. But I pulled up one real quick. There's plenty of more. Trust me. If you really do research once in your life, maybe you'll know for yourself.
So I think there's a difference between correlation and causation, and we have to be careful about that.
Okay, yes.
And so, yes, you got to call on the Lord, sis.
Yes, please do. Please call on. Oh, please.
So we're talking about
the Jews worship,
correlation and causation here. So you may be trying to find the correlation between these articles and these murders, but that is not the same thing.
Have you ever heard the black Hebrew Israelites preach on the streets?
Hold on, we were talking about one incident. Israelites is different. This man who was mentally ill, supposedly,
New Jersey,
yeah,
that was shooting
supposedly, he was.
I still brought them up before that.
He was looking up Adolf Hitler. He was looking at why they hated Jews. Like, that is what he was researching, and that's Nola's point, is what was influencing him. New York Times is not something that they brought up and said that he was reading. So that's why I just don't want us to confuse correlation with causation. The black Israelites, that is a totally different situation.
They've been around for years.
And not mainstream.
Yep. And they've been preaching hate speech for years. They've been doing.
No one's arguing that.
I agree.
All right.
But
so
Chris,
I'm glad we agree on that.
Chris, I will. To your point, I do think that the media has been involved in pushing us all apart. I do agree that, but I can't say in this particular point that these people were watching CNN and then said, "Oh, I'm going to go and kill Jews," because I mean, first of all, CNN, MSNBC are for the most part, a lot of Jewish people are behind that are executives and on the board. So I don't think that they would push people to attack other Jewish people. That would be horrible.
Well, if you look at a lot from a friend of here that's barely informed, when he goes to these rallies, in these Jewish rallies here in New York City, a lot of these Jewish people are Democrats, not the Orthodox Jewish community. Most of them are Republican. But if you just go to these Wall Street Journal Jews, a lot of them are very much anti-Semitic with a lot of their rhetoric.
The Jewish,
they attack Eli all the time. Yeah.
Wait, the Jewish people are anti-Semitic.
If you look at the rallies he goes to, he's attacked often by Jewish people.
Well, you know why he's attacked though? Because he's antagonizing them. So it's a different thing.
He's antagonizing them by doing interviews?
Yeah.
He's right down the middle. Stop right there. You know, Elad is not about that.
No. I've told him that. I've told him that.
He doesn't. Please. All he does is interviews. He asks harsh questions. He has tough questions, but he's not biased on either way. He just asks tough questions.
Totally. But I'm just saying he antagonizes these by going to the
You're not antagonizing nobody.
We should move on. Elad's not on this episode.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the
last
next
topic.
Okay. You okay?
No,
you okay, Chris? Jeez, this is a.
Thought you could handle this.
I know.
I leaned back.
Yeah. All right. Sorry.
Nola.
Sorry for what?
For us, for how we're like, let's still be professional. Let's still be professional.
Let's go next question.
In the week since the New York official ended the cash bail for many nonviolent criminal defendants, concerns over a spat of anti-Semitic incidents and other recent alleged crimes committed by those released under the law have spurred calls to undo parts of the legislation. Prosecutors and other law enforcement officials had expressed deep concerns about how the changes could affect public safety. Since the law went into effect on January 1st, they have redoubled on their efforts through Facebook groups and other social media. Supporters of changes to the law have pushed back, accusing opponents of cherry-picking the few cases to stoke public anxiety. How do you feel about this, guys?
So I just want to make sure that the listeners are clear. There has not been any sort of proof or evidence that the causation of what happened in these incidences that we just previously discussed, that these people were recently released on the new bail reform legislation. So I just want to be clear there before we begin to talk so that we're clear in that.
Okay, but then why? I mean, this is Cuomo.
Yeah, it's Cuomo doing what Cuomo does best, being a gangster. And there's a lady who attacked the Jewish community 3 times in the same week, released on that bail reform 3 times.
Let's talk about the attack. That's not a murder. It's not.
But she did attack. But she was just released, though. She was just released
3 times in the same week.
Right, but I wanted to be clear that the 2 incidences we were talking about where people were killed is not the same thing as that.
Did I say that?
No, I just wanted to be clear. Trying to make sure that everyone understands. But yes, that lady did assault. She, I believe, smacked or something in public, and then got arrested, and then went back out and did the same thing.
Yep.
So yeah, that's true.
Yep.
And she smacked what? She was smacking.
Orthodox,
Orthodox
Jewish woman.
I don't know.
And there's been police who've been attacked as well physically, who, after the attack, the person that attacked the police was released.
So let's talk about bail reform, because majority of these incidences actually all are nonviolent, and that is what they're trying to have, some sort of equality, right? So if you're rich or well off, you may commit the same crime as someone else who isn't, and you're able to afford to get released.
Right.
This is an incident where if you can't afford to get released, they are making sure that there is nothing that's going to prevent you, just as someone who's wealthy, and getting out on the street. Same crime could be committed. If you have money, you're out. If you don't, you're in. And if you're in and you're in Rikers, obviously this was kind of influenced by Khalif Browder and the situation where he stole the backpack, ended up doing 3 years at Rikers, came home and then committed suicide, right? Because of what happened to him while he was being held at Rikers for that long.
Right.
The reality is that the courts cannot manage all of these cases all at once, so that you are going to be held for an extended period of time just because of the number of crimes that are committed versus the courts and the judges that are available. So just basically what they're saying is that if you're poor, you shouldn't be punished. So we're going to allow you not to have bail, and that's the new bail reform.
Punished. Yeah.
And if you're poor, you're more likely committing crimes, so you should be punished.
If you're poor, you are. Wait, repeat that.
I said, if you are poor, you're more likely to commit a crime because you're in the streets. So why get rid of bail reform?
So wait,
rich people commit crimes all the time.
What?
All the time.
Not physical attacks. Not the physical
This is a nonviolent reform. This is what I mean by wanting to be clear.
People that commit violence are getting let go.
They're not. No, they're not. They're not.
That lady
actually,
who got let go in a week, she didn't commit a violent crime?
No, she did not commit a violent crime.
She pat the Jewish guy in the back?
Yeah,
give him a back rub?
Listen, she did not commit a violent crime. Why she was originally put in there. This is for non-violent offenders, and they're allowed to be released.
But violent offenders are getting released, like people who attack police officers. I get it.
No, but I mean, they're not. Trust me, police are not letting people that attack police officers.
There's a video footage of a man attacking a police officer, and a woman the cop was beating him off with a baton.
What was his previous crime?
What, for getting physical with a police officer?
What was his previous crime?
What did he get arrested for?
I'm talking about he got arrested for that, and he got released the same day.
On bail reform?
Yes.
So you're saying that, okay, so what is your
I say that there's violent crimes that people are getting released for.
I mean, I can't see that happening.
This legislation is specifically for nonviolent crimes.
The law is based on nonviolent criminals.
That's why you got Don Cuomo in there. Makes his own choices when it comes to things.
Okay, Nola, did you want to say something?
I'm actually not that familiar with this particular topic, so I tend not to want to comment on things that I don't know that much about, and I really don't like emotional responses, so I'm just listening.
Okay, cool.
Great.
So for us, I think it's something that needed to happen. I mean, you brought up a very good point. What was the gentleman's name that committed?
Khalif
Browder, who was in jail for how long was he in?
3 years.
3 years, and it's because he couldn't afford to pay his bail.
Exactly.
And he was
poor.
But wait, he stole a backpack, and he should be in jail for 3 years. And not because, I mean, there's some cases like that
cases just get held up.
Like, come on, that should never have happened. And I do think that this cash bail reform, I hope it stays intact. I hope that they don't go and reverse it. I hope that they keep this policy, because for nonviolent criminals, now violent criminals, stay your ass in jail. I'm sorry. Stay your ass in jail. But nonviolent people who, like you say in the past, that if you're selling a bag of weed and you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing because you're in a poor community, or wherever you are in a rich community, because a lot of rich white college kids sell drugs at large proportions.
White collar crimes. I mean, one of the reasons why they go to federal prison, right, is because they're supposed to be nonviolent crimes. So if that's the case, then it seems like to me it should work in all instances.
That's what I'm saying. So
thank God we got rid of Bill Clinton's 3-strike laws. so people aren't getting locked up for BS
We have
like
to
that.
focus on this particular topic.
I'm saying,
Chris, I appreciate you bringing
President Trump brought
I appreciate
First
you
Step
bringing-
Act. That got rid of that, so we don't have to worry about that as much on the level as we did
I
in the
appreciate
90s.
you bringing
and the
I
early
support
2000s.
bail reform,
Okay.
Especially for nonviolent bail reform. I do hope, however, because they are oftentimes in low-income communities and may, for survival purposes, not every instance, but many instances, may commit crimes, petty crimes, that will get them back in that situation. I hope that we also attach some sort of social services to this legislation.
Recidivism.
Yes,
Yeah,
and that there's
recidivism is a huge problem.
real money attached to this that's going to support these communities so that we don't continue to have this conversation. I think that's the one thing that's missing from the Democratic governor on this side.
Right.
All right.
All right. Well, let's get into this last topic. It's about the...
I'm about to burn some sage before we talk about this. Okay.
I know. All right. So the military
witch's
budget was passed. The military budget was passed in December 2019. The deal took months to come together amongst partisan fights over funding for Trump's wall project at the U.S.-Mexico border. At the crux of the New Deal, the White House will get $1.37 billion in Homeland Security funds for the wall, significantly less than the $5 billion Trump was looking for. On Thursday, January 9th, a federal appeals court has handed the Trump administration a victory by allowing the president to tap military construction funds to build a wall in the U.S.-Mexico border. A divided Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals issued the decision late Wednesday, reversing the lower court order that stopped Trump from using the $3.6 billion in U.S. Defense Department money to construct the long-promised border wall. Opponents say pulling money that was approved by Congress for the military projects in order to pay the border wall construction is an abuse of power. Administration officials insist the maneuver became legal, after Trump declared a national emergency along the southern border in February 2019. Under the declaration, Trump officials say they have the right to relocate military construction funding for more urgent projects, such as 450 miles border wall. Trump says he wants to build it by the end of the year. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Do you think that this was a abuse of power
Thank God, build the wall.
strategic? Okay.
Build the wall. Build the wall. We're going to save a lot more than we will save dealing with these illegal immigrants here. So whatever you got to do to get it done, President Trump. Another campaign promises fulfilled. Thank you very much.
Not yet, but sure.
Okay.
Nola?
I think it's symbolic. Again, it's about the base and keeping a promise because it's not needed. Again, I'm always about need, about necessity. What we need is more investment in technology in terms of border security. That's just fact. The wall is symbolic. Now, the thing is that they're not wrong in terms of saying that the presidential powers really, really expanded World War II and then beyond. Like literally all of our international relations policy, foreign policy, national security, all of this stuff is constructed from a post-World War II world, right? So one of the things that happened during that time is that the presidential powers expanded under national emergencies. And I think that's fascinating because the president does have the right to say that something is a national emergency. And once that is triggered, the president can pretty much do what the president wants to do once that emergency is triggered. Okay. However, the question is there an emergency? Right? That's the question. What is the emergency other than keeping a promise to the base that is largely symbolic? And in my personal opinion, it would be economically wasteful because we need
technology.
We need funds directed towards technology.
And what do you mean by technology?
Probably lasers, drones. I mean, things like that
Star
that
Wars.
can detect. Excuse me?
Star Wars.
I didn't.
It's his favorite movie. No,
Star
nothing.
Wars?
He's just talking about a movie he watched. Continue, Nola.
Okay. Anyhow,
What's wrong with you?
listen, people who, like cartels and stuff, they're very crafty and very smart people.
Right.
And they're not sending drugs through the border via the wall.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when
Yeah.
I think about border security, these are the things that I'm thinking about.
You want
in
further
terms of human.
advancements? Further technological advancements outside of
Yes.
brick and mortar sort
But
of.
what about the border patrols?
A wall that already exists.
What
But
about
anyway.
what about the
A
border,
real wall.
What about the
Not a
border?
fence.
What about the border patrols that are saying that they do need help? Like they do feel like people are still.
They
coming
do need
through.
help.
So
They
what?
do need help because
so what do we?
end up like Europe, wide open, they open the borders up. Look what happened in Europe right now. You got Sweden with 300% rape increase going on in Sweden because of letting refugees in from other countries over there. Third world countries. Mexico is almost a third world country compared to the USA. We're letting people over here that
It
are
is
bringing
not.
in drugs,
No, it is
that are
not. It
raping
is
our
not a third
citizens,
world
that are
country.
murdering our citizens, MS-13.
Oh, my God.
The list goes on and on and on and on. So we build the wall. We protect our citizens. Then we can get citizens in here legally
But,
who aren't criminals.
but Trump
and then
said-
we can really build America the way it's
But
supposed to
hasn't
be
Trump
built
said
up.
even that the walls, like he's like, people can go under the wall and they can dig under. Like these, it's still like he says that he's even admitted that it's not going to be
It's
impenetrable.
not perfect. You got to need more.
Yeah, so then why
you
waste the
you
money
gotta
then?
electrify the fence. Of
It is
the wall.
symbolic, no more, no less.
No.
It is symbolic.
No. Every great country needs a wall. And we need
Every
a wall.
great
We're the greatest
country
country in
needs
the
a wall.
world.
Every
And what
And we are the
year?
greatest country in the world. So we definitely need to secure
Since
our
what?
borders.
Rome? What are you talking about?
They were one of the greats, back in the day. But when they got more liberal,
what happened to them?
they got more liberal, and they fell apart.
Yeah, but
that's what happened to
But
them.
you can't use
That's
old.
exactly what happened.
But why are we trying to use
Nero
old?
did not seem to be liberal to me. But anyway.
But let's think about it. Like I think
2020.
I think Nola made a point about the technology advances. We have to use things that are in the future. We can't keep going
Yes, I know.
backwards to
we gotta
things
use
that.
spaceships and lasers, and we gotta,
I mean, I'd rather him invest in his space
Yes,
wars
that-
versus this. I
Yeah.
think
So
at
we
least
use the
he's,
space wars against the wall. Then how about that?
well, that's what she's saying,
All
right?
right,
She's
yes,
saying
Star Wars.
let's use
exactly.
the lasers.
And I'm saying,
let's
okay,
try-
we're doing Star Wars against the wall. That'll work perfectly.
But see, the way that you are, but the way that you do your rhetorical devices and how you demean everything that's said like something serious, you're chuckling. But again, like I said, I take these things very seriously.
I know.
This
Right.
is my work, right? Like
I know.
I don't think it's
Right.
calling it Star
It's kinda
Wars
sad.
and stuff like that. Like to me, that's not helpful at all. And perhaps because this is entertainment and it's a podcast, I get it.
Right.
But it's this is a serious issue because again, what we're not talking about, and again, call me a very proud liberal on this point, and that's fine. I'll be that, right? But you were talking about brown bodies, right? Who you are criminalizing just on the fact that they are brown bodies, period.
Nope.
Wow. Okay.
We will be revisiting this.
Okay.
Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you,
you.
Nola, for your time. Our
Thank you. I
apologies
appreciate it.
for the conversation. And we will continue to
Keep America great.
politrick.
Let's politics. Okay, I'm Kerstyn D on Instagram.
I'm Nora Yaya at Miss Yaya.
Christopher Wright. Google it.
Nola, what's your Instagram?
At Nola Haynes on Instagram, at Nola Haynes on Twitter.
All right. Thanks.
Thank
Congrats on
you.
everything
Thank
you're doing.
you.
Keep working.
Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, think they got something they want to say. Think they got something they want to say. Ladies and gentlemen, think they got something they want to say. DC, think they got something they want to say.